Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is a special Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Today I'm in Greece. I've been in Greece for a couple of weeks now. I apologize. I haven't been able to do my lives. We just had a busy schedule and a lot of relaxation too. So taking a little time off. Listen, today I'm going to share with you a quick training. Then we're going to do some Q&A and then I'm out of here. Okay. But I did want to jump in real quick. It's late in the day here. It's 5:30 Greece time. I'm actually in Crete right now. So it should be about 10:30 your time if you're joining me live. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 tips on how to increase your profit margin per load, right? So how to increase the margin on your loads that you broker as a broker or as an agent. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm excited you guys are here. I know this is a little off the cuff. It wasn't really announced. We've got some people that are starting to join us live. I think it's a little bit probably throwing people off a little bit because it's so early and it's Tuesday, not Monday. But things were crazy yesterday. I was going to try to go live and I just couldn't make it. But I will share this with you really quick before we start. This is, as I said to you, we're in Crete. This is the resort we're at in Crete. You can kind of get a quick view of what's going on in the background. The resort we're at is called Icarus. It's an awesome resort, beautiful. We were in Paros, which is another island in Greece, for about a week. We've been here for about a week. I'm not really doing a working vacation. This is the only work I've really done, other than maybe just reply to a few emails. But Greece is amazing. Can you guys hear me all right? Can you guys see me all right? I didn't really do a tech check. I'm not sure how the Wi-Fi is. It seems to be pretty good, but hoping this streaming is going to work out. And for those of you that don't catch it live, no worries. All right, no worries. You can catch it on replay. And, I'm just excited you guys are here and I could share a little bit with you kind of along my journey here into Greece. So, well, thank you for the kind words, everybody. Thank you. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know the city and state you're logging in from. I'll do a quick shout out. And again, the agenda is this. We'll do a shout out. We'll do the training, and then we will literally do some Q&A, and then we're out of here, okay? So hopefully we'll get done with this whole thing in maybe 45 minutes or so, okay, or less. Join in as long as you can. Hit me in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. I'd love to hear from you. We got TBD from Memphis. We got Lisa from Chicago. We've got Cody from Northeastern Utah. Awesome. We've got Lisa from Chicago, Ilya from Asheville, North Carolina, Axel from Cleveland, Danique from Orlando, Florida, Corey from Billings, Montana, Garo from Pasadena. We got Luke Thornton from Moss Lake, Washington, Alexis from Tampa, Florida, Michael Blocker from Peachtree City, Georgia. We got somebody, a LinkedIn user from Shelton, Washington. Not sure who that is. Caroline from Madison, Illinois. So we got people from all over the place. And oddly enough, I'm in another country. This is the first time I've ever done a live from another country. And so it's kind of different. It's kind of special. I'm going to do again. We're going to jump into the quick training. It's funny. I'm drinking Coca-Cola because, I don't know, over here, everything's Coca-Cola. I don't think I've seen a Pepsi. But anyway. Quick drink, and we will be off to the races here. So we got a bunch of people joining us. I'm going to jump into the training. I've got some notes. I wrote them on the back of one of our hotel invoice things, but I did want to jot down some notes, okay? So let me just get myself prepped here. I'm a little uncomfortable because of not in my normal streaming office environment, but we'll make do, all right? So today, I'm going to share with you 3 tips on how to increase the profit margin on your loads as a freight broker or a freight agent. So as a broker or as an agent, you are brokering loads and you are making a middle. You sell the load to a shipper for $1,000. They agree to that rate. You then find a truck to haul that load for $800. You make a $200 profit margin. So what I'm going to teach you how to do is how to increase that average profit margin with these 3 strategies, okay? So number 1, I'm going to lead in with this one because this is the one that you absolutely cannot do without. This is the one that everybody makes the mistake with. This is the one that drives me freaking crazy, okay? Number one is you need to learn to negotiate in 5s and 10s versus 50s and 100s, okay? Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. All right, so let's say on the carrier side, you've got the load posted, you're talking to some carriers, and the carrier, you tell the carrier, I can pay you 1,000, and the carrier says, well, I need 1,200 for that, and you immediately go up to 1,100 or 1,150 or 1,200, and you negotiate in large blocks. You need to learn, most brokers negotiate in $50 and $100 blocks. What you need to learn to do is negotiate in 5s and 10s. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is this. When you tell them 1,000, and this is any negotiation, but I'm going to give you the example. Same thing works on the shipper side, okay? But if I tell you 1,000 and you tell me 1,200, when I negotiate, I'm going to negotiate and say, well, listen, I could give you maybe 1,010, something like that. And you negotiate in smaller increments. So what happens is it does a couple of things. Psychologically, it positions you and as someone who has value and isn't just giving away that value, and it makes them feel as though psychologically that you have less room in your price to negotiate when you negotiate in smaller amounts. Okay, so I say 1,000, they say 1,200, I say 1,210, they say 1,100, I say 1025, and they say 1050. Do you see the difference? How if we end up at 1050 versus at 11 or 1150? Now, it might not seem like a big deal, $50, right? Doesn't seem like a big deal. But when in my brokerage, when I sold the brokerage, there were days that we were doing 300 or 400 or 500 or more loads a day. Okay. So add that $50 on top of 300 loads a day, and then multiply that times 30 days, and then multiply that times 12 months. So it really starts to add up, and it's a philosophy. It's a mentality that you have to understand. When negotiating with a shipper or negotiating with a carrier, you need to learn to negotiate in 5s and 10s versus 50s and 100s, okay? So get that down. That mistake alone costs you a lot of money, okay? So learn to negotiate in 5s and 10s, not 50s and 100s. That's number one. All right, number two, when giving a price to a shipper or a carrier, do not quote the rate in a range. This is another thing. I'll give you an example how it happens on the carrier side. So I'm talking to a carrier. Carrier says, how much will you pay on that load? I tell them, well, we can pay you maybe 1,000, 1,100. Huge mistake. Huge mistake, because all he heard was 1,100. You have no opportunity to talk about 1,000. You have no opportunity to negotiate 1,000 because you already gave it away. So don't quote prices in ranges. All right, big mistake. This is a second mistake I see all the time. All the time. It drives me crazy. And so that's another, I've talked about some of this stuff before, but I want to reiterate it because it's so important, guys. It's so important that you guys understand the importance of negotiating and how to negotiate, right? So that was number two. Don't use price ranges, use an exact price. So here's a strategy. Carrier says, how much can you do that load for? Rather than saying 1,000, say I could do 995 or I could do 1005. Give an exact dollar amount, okay? Give an exact dollar amount. Don't give a range. And then use the 5 and 10 negotiating strategy to negotiate from there, okay? All right, that's number two, all right? Number three, be willing to walk away. You, at any point in the negotiation with a shipper or with a carrier, you have to be willing to walk away. They have to realize and understand and feel as though, and you have to convey the confidence as though you have options, you have other options, and that while you would love to work with them, you don't need them. Anytime the other party feels as though you need them more than they need you, you're in trouble, right? You're going to get put over the barrel and it's not going to be fun. All right. So they're going to negotiate hard when they believe that they are more valuable to you than you are to them. Okay. So that's really important you understand that. Remember, be willing to walk away. No deal is better than a bad deal. That's something that I learned very early in business. Okay. And that goes for you as a carrier too. If you're a carrier or a broker or a shipper, or whoever you are, no deal's better than a bad deal. You have to be willing to walk away. Very important that you guys understand that, right? That's a psychology. That's a mentality that you absolutely have to have. All right. Now I'm going to give you a bonus. Hold tight here for the bonus. I want to give you a quick bonus. Let me review the first three. Number one, negotiate in 5s and 10s versus 50s and 100s. Really important. Jot that down. Number two, don't use price ranges when asked what rate can you pay, okay? Or what is your rate, okay? Don't use ranges, 1,000, 1,100. Use an exact rate, 1,000 or 995 or 1005, okay? Number three, be willing to walk away. No deal's better than a bad deal. You can't, they cannot sense or feel as though that you need them more than they need you, all right? So those are the three tips, but here's the bonus tip, all right? Here's the bonus tip. And then I have a question for you. So hold tight. Bonus tip, and then I have a question. All right. When negotiating with a shipper or with a carrier, doesn't matter which side it works on both, use credit terms as a way to seal the deal. Now, what do I mean by that? So as a carrier, when you're negotiating with a carrier, you're a broker negotiating with a carrier, what you can do is when you're close on the rate and maybe you're off by 5 or 10 or 15 or 25 bucks, right? You're pretty close, or maybe up to 50 bucks, right? What you can do is use credit terms to seal the deal. So rather than giving up an extra 20 or $50 on the rate, offer to give them a free quick pay, no fee on the quick pay, because quick pays are going to cost you as a broker very, very little. So give a free quick pay, 1 day, 5 day quick pay. That's a great way to seal the deal because carriers want their money fast and they understand that a quick pay might cost them 3 or 4 or 5%. So that's how they value it. So on $1,000 load, 5%, that's 50 bucks. It's like, listen, I got 50 bucks. I was only asking for 25, but the reality is it only costs you a few bucks to do the quick pay, right? So use a quick pay as a way to close the deal with a carrier. Use credit terms. Now you can do the same thing with a shipper, right? So on a shipper side, you're close on the rate. What you want to do is try to negotiate payment on delivery, right? Within 24 or 48 hours of delivery. You give them a POD, a signed POD, and they issue a payment within 24 to 48 hours. Or maybe you can do a 10-day pay, right? But what you have to understand is as a broker, you are a bank. And so cash flow is critical, just like most business, but in the freight business, cash flow is king, not cash is king. Cash flow is king. So you've got to make sure that you get paid quickly. So anytime you can negotiate better terms with a shipper, it's worth a small concession on the back end for profit. Okay. So those are my 4 tips plus my bonus tip today. And my question to you is this: which one of these tips is your favorite? Hit me up in the comments and let me know which of these you think is the most valuable or your favorite or the one that you're going to use the next time you're on the phone negotiating rates. Hit me up in the comments and let me know that. And listen, for those of you that are curious, becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I've been in business as an entrepreneur over 27 years, okay? I've done over $200 million as a freight broker, started and grew my freight brokerage from 0 to $80 million a year and sold it. I'm also the owner of freightbrokerbootcamp.com, which is the most cost-effective, comprehensive online freight broker training program available. So if you're curious, check that out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com because I have trained over 10,000 students, right? We've had that training program for over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee, okay? So I can't make it any easier than that. I hope you guys enjoyed the training. Make sure you hit me up in the comments with your favorite tip from this episode, from this training, and I'll see you next week on another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. All right, so for those of you that are going to stick around, hold tight. If you want to do the Q&A, hold your questions. Do not type your questions in yet, okay? Hold tight. I want to kind of get some feedback from you guys. Excuse me, which one of those tips was most valuable for you? By the way, hit the like button right now, wherever you're at. That's the price of admission, okay? Hit the like button. Smash that like button no matter where you're at. I see a bunch of you are on YouTube. I see a bunch of you are on LinkedIn. Hit the like button right now. That's your price of admission. You know, there was no credit card. I didn't gate this. I'm giving it away. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Share the stream. If you really want to get my attention, share the stream. Okay, truly appreciate it if you guys would share the stream, no matter where you're at. Now let me get the feedback. Okay. Definitely the $10 to $20. Well, I said 5 to 10, not 10 to 20. You see, you already doubled it. You already doubled it, TBD. I said negotiating 5s and 10s, not 10s and 20s. You gave away twice as much as you had to. But I get your point. Thank you for the feedback. Lisa says, quick pay. Renee says, great advice. Thank you. Garo, awesome. I'm glad that was valuable to you. Any other feedback? Using ComptQPay now as closer with carrier booking, the best takeaway from the negotiation small bills. Yes, negotiate. If you guys forget everything I said on this episode, on this training, if you forget everything I said on this episode, remember one thing: negotiate in 5s and 10s, not 50s and 100s. It will make you a lot of money. Trust me. When you can negotiate an extra $15 to $30 to $50 profit per load, trust me, it adds up. It doesn't seem like a lot when you're doing 1 load a day, but when you're doing 10 loads a day at $50 a load, that's $500 a day. And that's only 10 loads, right? It's not like you're not knocking the cover off the ball. I mean, that's a nice business, but trust me, I have students that are doing $1 million to $2 million or more a month. Every month. They started right where you are right now. Maybe they didn't even know as much as you knew right now, right? So if you guys are curious about getting started, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money back guarantee. Oh, also, one other thing. I am going to be opening up my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, which is that 5-week training program, that coaching program where I take that piece of my brain and I transplant it into your head and I teach you how to get shippers. I teach you my best Freight Broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, and my entire system from A to Z, how I did over $200 million from a sales perspective. Everything I know about Freight Broker sales is in that program. And we are going to be launching that program, not right when I get back, but probably within about 30 days. So you have to be on the wait list if you want to be a part of that program. So you can check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. All you'll do is put your name on the wait list and you'll be the first to get notified when we release that program. Now, it's not a free program. It's not a cheap program, okay? But it's worth 10x whatever you pay for it. I promise you, okay? We've had almost 600 students, I think, by now went through that program. And the rating, 1 to 10, is a 9.2 out of 10. I would have been happy with a 7, ecstatic with an 8. We got a 9.2. I hit it out of the park with this program. People are ecstatic about the value that it's providing them, getting the return on investment that they're looking for, giving them the coaching and confidence they need to get shippers, right? Whether it be your first shipper or your 50th shipper, right? Whether you're in a lull, you've been around the block a little bit, but you need a good refresher. You need a kick in the butt. You need a coach to help you. That's me. I'll help. All right. This is different than Freight Broker Bootcamp. That's my startup program. That's the startup online course. Go at your own pace. This is my Sales Accelerator. It's a 5-week sales coaching program. Okay. We meet for 5 weeks. Okay. And I coach you for 5 weeks in this program. All right. So you guys can check that out. Get on the wait list at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. I'm going to be back from Greece. I can't resist. I'm going to give you guys another quick look at the resort here. Let me see what we got. For those of you that maybe joined late, catching this on replay, this is the resort. It's called Icarus. I don't have a great view. You can kind of see the pool, you can see the trees, you can see the ocean. Beautiful resort here with friends and family. 8 of us traveled here. We got here, we got to Greece on August 2nd. We flew into Athens, and then we flew to a really cool island called Paros. Beautiful, beautiful island. We rented a beach house, a gorgeous beach house. It was phenomenal. I'll probably end up posting some pictures at some point. We were there for maybe about a week, and then we and then we flew to Crete, and we're in Crete right now. Crete is one of the largest Greek islands. It's big, and so we've been here for about a week, and we're leaving actually. Shit, we're leaving tomorrow. We're flying out tomorrow to go back to Athens. So I'll be back, I think, by Friday, late Thursday or Friday into the U.S. So after my jet lag, I will definitely be recovering and getting back on the ball here with these live trainings, and I look forward to that because I've missed you guys. I hope you guys found this valuable. All right, so let's see. Let's come up with some questions. What's your question? Hit me up in the comments with any questions you guys have. That could be about today's training. That could be about anything to do with freight brokerage, freight agent, sales, whatever. Okay, I don't really care. Do whatever you want. I will gladly try to answer that question for you. Awesome. Danique says, I used what you taught on Accelerator this morning. Thanks, Dennis. Definitely a great program. Thank you for the kind words, Danique. Thank you so much, Danique. That was awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Questions. Let's hit me up with questions. All right. TBD asks, did you use TMS or load boards to get rate starting point, or did you manually calculate overall? I'm just curious how you come up with that. All right. So the best way to generate rates as a newbie, as someone who's brand new, who doesn't have a lot of experience doing that, is to use the load boards and the rating tools as a base starting point. Okay. And then you are going to either post loads and take calls from carriers, or you're going to call carriers that have their trucks posted or historically have a historical data that you can pull where they posted their trucks in those lanes, and you're going to talk directly with carriers. Okay. The rating tools will give you a little bit of a baseline, but what you have to do is you just use that as a baseline starting point, and you want to start on the lower end. So when you start talking to carriers, if the load board said 1,200 to the truck, right? That's kind of the rate to the truck. You're probably going to want to start at 1,000, right? And yeah, you're going to get some carriers that are going to be mad at you. Yeah, you're going to get some carriers that are going to hang up on you. Yeah, you're going to have some. But here's the thing: you need to do what I call find the bottom, right? Or find the market. You got to find the market. What is the market? You can't pay $200 more on that load and expect to get it from the shipper, right? You can't, because you won't make any money, right? So you got to find the market. And so doing that requires you to get a starting point using the load boards and the rating tools, and then talk to carriers direct and negotiate with them. Don't ask them what they want. Don't say, hey, I got to load from Buffalo to Atlanta. It's a flatbed. How much you want? They all want $5 a mile. Of course they do. Just like you want $5 a mile. If a shipper asked you how much you want, oh, I want $5 a mile. But that doesn't mean you're going to get it, right? So ultimately, you have to find the market. So don't ask them. You have to have a starting point. So if the load boards and the rating tools say 1,200, start at 1,000, and then work your way up. You're going to get a few carriers that are going to tell you, oh yeah, I'll do it for 1,100. Oh, I'll do it for 1,050. Oh, I'll do it for 12. And then you have a baseline as to what you're going to pay for a truck, and then you mark that up, and that's your all-in quote to your shippers. That's the starting point. So hope that helps. Carolyn, I'm not quite sure what's a good number to have for a client. I'm not sure. What do you mean? What is a good number? Clarify what you're looking for. I'll try to help. Cody, thank you so much. He says FBSA is a great program. In fact, I'm going to review it again this month. I need to add some high volume customers. Awesome. So glad you were happy with it. Thank you for the kind words. Okay, so Danique asks, can you give another example of negotiating 5s and 10s? I want to make sure I understand it fully. excuse me, I have a little bit of a head cold. I got a sinus cold here. It was kind of, had a bad night's sleep. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So negotiating in 5s and 10s. All right, so here's how it works. I'm going to use the broker carrier negotiations. So I'm a broker. I have a load posted to the load board. Carrier calls me, right? I tell him I'll pay 1,000. I can pay him 1,000. He says, "Oh, I have to have $1,300 for that." And a lot of times, what will happen is carriers or brokers will automatically say, "Oh, I can give you, I might be able to give you 1,100 or 1,200." They negotiated in hundreds. See the $100 bill? He started from 1,000 and went to 1,100 or 1,200, right? He negotiated in hundreds, right? Or maybe, that's an example, right? Rather than you negotiating in hundreds, you need to negotiate in 5s and 10s. So when he says, you say 1,000 and he says 1,300, you got to say, listen, I might be able to get another $10 out of this, 1,010, right? Now, nothing says he's going to come down to you. But at that point, he realizes and psychologically understands that you are very tight on this load. There's not a lot of margin. So he's going to come down further than half. So if he started at 1,300, you started at 1,000, he might come down to 1,200 right away. Now, we're only $90 apart. I was 1010, he was 1,100, right? So now I've only got to work out $90, right? A lot easier. So now I don't go in the middle, right? I still negotiate in 10s, 5s and 10s. So I might go up and say, listen, I might be able to get you 1020 on this, but that's really about as good as it's going to get. And then see where they are and negotiate in 5s and 10s, not 50s and 100s. So when you're negotiating with a carrier or negotiating with a shipper, you always negotiate, right, in the smaller increments, right? That's what you have to understand. So if you do that, it shows that you have the value, and it gives them a psychological, it's like a psychological indicator that you have less margin into this load and that they need to come down if they're serious, right? So it'll shorten the negotiations and it will add profit to your bottom line. Okay? Hope that helps. Does that make sense? All right, cool. I'm scrolling, looking for questions. Hold on. Okay, TBD. So great advice. So how would you graduate from basic approach to quoting rates? Okay, so the basic approach is how you are going to quote almost any new lane that you're not familiar with. So if a shipper asks me to quote a load from Buffalo to Atlanta on a flatbed, the first time I move that load, I need to do the proper due diligence. You're not going to use some rating tool and think that you're going to use that rating tool and it's going to be accurate. They're not. I promise you, they're not. Okay? Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low, sometimes they're really high, sometimes they're really low. If you just use a rating tool to try to quote freight rates, you're going to get kicked in the teeth. Okay? You're either going to undersell it to the shipper and you're not going to be able to cover it, or you're going to have too high of a rate and the shipper is going to laugh you out and he's going to say, listen, you're 30% higher than me and you lose than my current rate, and you're going to lose all credibility, right? So anytime it's a new lane, you are going to do the proper due diligence. There's no cutting corners. Now, I only have to do that due diligence like that really one time on that Buffalo to Atlanta, because the next time I run that load, maybe it's a month later, I have a starting point. I know how much I was charging the shipper. I know how much I paid the carrier, and I have that I have that data point to start from. So yeah, that's how it'll work. You won't have to do that every single time, but you do have to do the proper due diligence every time you quote a new lane that you're not familiar with. Okay? So I hope that helps. Okay, so Carolyn asks, how many clients do you really need to have as a starter broker? Well, depends on the client, right? I know brokers and I've had agents that have had one client that they did over $1 million a year with. Now, I don't recommend that, but that's possible and it does happen. It's unlikely though. Most startup brokers, I'll give you an idea. Most startup brokers hit 6 figures in income, meaning they'll hit $8,000 to $10,000 in profit per month, somewhere between 5 and 10 shippers. That's the kind of the norm that I see. Okay. So that's the general range. So if you have somewhere between 5 and 10 shippers, I hope my earbuds might be going bad, might be dying here. I might have to switch over to non-AirPods here. But in any event, point is, somewhere between 5 and 10 is where you'll start making six figures. Okay. If you're not making, look, if that's not your goal, then you could probably do it with 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, 2 to 5 shippers, right? Depends upon, but you got to get the first one. The hardest one is to get the first load, right? To get and move that first load. That's the hardest one, right? That's one of the primary reasons I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, because this is where most people struggle, right? Most people struggle in sales. They struggle in how to get shippers. Number one, they don't know the strategies. They don't have a system, but even more important, they don't have the confidence, right? So when you graduate from my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, you will have not only the confidence, but you will have a system to go from A to Z of exactly what you need to do in order to get shippers in any market. An up market, when freight's running high and rates are high, down into when freight drops and rates go down, you'll be able to effectively sell and get shippers in any market. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm scrolling here. Give me a minute. Jay Bugatti says, how much money would a newbie need to start? Well, if you're going to start as a broker, if you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/blog and you search for startup cost, I have an entire blog post there, right? But brokers can get started for thousands of dollars. Let's call it somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000. Rough estimate. A lot of that depends upon your broker bond. And freight agents can start it for hundreds of dollars. Let's call that a couple hundred up to maybe $500, right? Depending upon who trains you or your training, depending upon some of the software costs. But yeah, I tell everybody, you can get started as an agent for hundreds of dollars. You can get started for a broker for thousands of dollars, but you don't need tens of thousands of dollars to become a broker. Okay. Very low startup cost relative in comparison to like a traditional business. Try to go open a pizza shop. Try to go open a Subway. Try to go open, any franchise or retail type business. You're going to get crushed, right? It's huge money. I mean, most of them are $75,000 to $250,000 or more minimum. Okay, even small ones. Okay, so Ilya asks, do you have a forum or group with more experienced brokers and carriers? All the Facebook groups only have new people with no experience. Yeah, if you are a member of Freight Broker Bootcamp, you will get access to our paid members only Facebook group. Now, that paid members Facebook group has students of mine that signed up years ago and are now have a lot of experience. Some of the group mentors, people that are like top commenters and experts in that group, they do 6, 7, 8 figures per year. So we have my Facebook group has a lot of experienced brokers in it. Now, when they got in the group, I get to understand, I've had this program for over a decade. So some of those guys have been students of mine for over a decade, right? So yeah, we have a lot of experienced guys. Now we have a lot of new people coming in too. There's always going to be more new people than there are, super success stories. And even with super success stories, sometimes they don't participate in the group, right? They're busy running their business and they just don't do the group thing, right? So yeah, so we do have an outlet for all of our students. If you join Freight Broker Bootcamp, you will get invited into the paid members only group. It's the only way you can get into it. Nobody else can get in that group. It's paid members only. And if you join the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you will get into the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator members only group. Now, those are people that are a part of my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. That group is focused exclusively on sales and how to get shippers. So I hope that helps. Let's see. I think I'm about to lose my earbuds here in a minute, but we'll figure that out. Would you stay away from negotiating in fives and tens with a new shipper? No. So if you're the shipper and I'm negotiating with you, okay, um, and I give you a quote, all right, so wait, you're the shipper, I'm the broker, okay, and I give you a quote of $1,000, and they say, well, we really need to move that for 900. Rather than me going from 1,000 down to 900 because the shipper wants their rates to go down, I would negotiate in fives and tens. I could probably bring that down a little bit and sharpen my pencil, but there's no way I can get to 900, right? I mean, you got to understand, I've got carriers and drivers that I've got to take care of. And again, if you're not concerned about the freight picking up on time, I could probably cover this load for $800. But if you wanted to pick up and deliver on time, it's just a little bit more. Can you do 990? Right? You see how I did that? See how I negotiated that? Excuse me. So I hope that helps. All right, I'm scrolling. Okay, so the audio is still working. I was always in the impression that being a broker would be 10K. Nope. Depends on your credit. The broker bond is the most expensive part of getting started as a broker. And the broker bonds typically range, most of them that I've seen are between $1,000 and $3,000 per year for a startup. Now, if you have really bad credit, it could be 5 or 10,000 if you have really bad credit. But if you got average, slightly above average to good credit, like if you've got an 800 credit score, you're probably going to pay $1,000, right, a year. It's super cheap, right? But if you've got a 550 credit score, you might not be able to get a bond at all, or it might be 10 grand, right? But that's just really bad credit. And in that case, I would recommend you not start as a broker, start as an agent. Okay, don't pay $10,000 for a bond when you can start as an agent for a few $100 and still make 50 to 70% of the profit on the load. And then later, a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, if you choose you want to become a broker, now you've got a little bit of bankroll, you've got customers, you got experience, you can always pivot off into your own brokerage later if you choose to, right? So yeah, think about that. All right, cool guys. Listen, that's going to wrap it up for today. So before my earbuds click out, I really, truly appreciate you guys being here. I'm glad I could get on here live. I apologize I haven't been on here live more. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you share the stream, okay? Let me know which one of those tips you liked the most. And I'll be back in New York. I'll be back in Buffalo area probably Thursday or Friday from the trip. Apologize for the cough again. And then we'll get back to our normal lives. We'll get back to everything. But again, see it on the screen, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. If you're struggling to get your first shipper, or you really you need confidence, you need somebody to hold your hand, you need somebody to give you this system, get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. I promise you. You won't regret it. We offer a money back guarantee. You absolutely, positively should be on that wait list. Get on the wait list right now. We're going to be opening it up probably in the next 30 days or so. You'll be the first to get notified, and you'll get an opportunity to the first opportunity to enroll. It sells out every single time. I limit the number of people that are in that program because it is a coaching program. And I hope you're one of my next students. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. Like, comment, share. We'll see you guys next week on my Monday Freight Broker Bootcamp Live from New York. Signing off from Greece. Have an awesome week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, all.